Hey everyone, Sorankar Gaming here again, with another warrior build. I told everyone on that commentary I released earlier this week that I would be releasing this very build this Friday after I did more testing with Hay, Brittany, and Kiz. The testing has been done. We think we've pretty much made it as best as we can. However, anyone that is looking over this build and says, well, I think that'd be better, and they go and test it out and it is, let me know. I'd love to know. So, I'm going to go ahead and get started, just as I always do. I'll go traits, then runes, then I'll show you a little demonstration. First off, if anyone has seen my Hammer Time build, they'll recognize this exactly, because this is almost dead on to traits you need for that. Also, if anyone ever looks at the Ultimate Guardian build released by Tap That Mouse, this is the exact same thing, except for a little variation. So let's go right in. Arms. You want deep cuts. Originally we had not used deep cuts because we were using Mace Shield. Originally we were using Unsuspecting Foe, so we got the extra crit chance. Or hit chance, my bad. However, when we swapped to Sword Shield, due to the fact that this build was so easily kited that it was just, we were getting torn apart. We had to find another way to get around the kiting. So, Hay suggested a rifle. Well, that wasn't really working too well. So then, we put our heads together and Hay goes, well, what about a sword? Let's try a sword. So we go and we get a sword and we're testing that out, and it was great because no one could kite us no more. We had that savage leap. We just leaped right at them. What were they going to do? They couldn't get away. So that was great. That was the gap closer we needed. We could no longer be kited. But we weren't really having the stun anymore, so that trait was now worthless. We went to deep cuts because, as we all know, sword will put a bunch of bleeds on everyone. It's great to have. Not to mention, it keeps, if you're fighting against a warrior, their signet, it should keep the regeneration down quite a bit. So, the damage you're outputting should outmatch their healing. We went with Shield Master. This can be changed with just about anything you want. If you want something different, go for it. Shield Master was something I preferred, personally, over, where is it at? The Reflective Missiles, just because I only have one Reflect now that I don't have my mace no more. And considering it takes 24 seconds before I can do it, it just didn't seem as viable as Shield Master due to the 90 toughness, and all my shields will recharge 20% faster. But if you prefer something different, go for it. I went with Last Stand, and the reason for this is because when I first made this build, the first problem I ran into was conditions, and after I'd fixed that, the second problem I ran into was stun warriors. If they stunned you, you were fucked. You could not solve anything. You were boned. You could not do nothing. There was no stability in this build, so I had to find a way to add stability, or a way to get around the stuns. And Last Stand was the way to do it. Activating Balanced Stance gave me swiftness, and it gave me stability. And it only affects every 90 seconds, so, and we all know Skullcracker can be used every 10 seconds. So you might be asking, Shane, why would you be doing that? Why use this thing that can only be done every 90 seconds? Well, believe it or not, that 90 seconds really made a big difference. That's even that little bit of stability. I was able to beat the stun warrior where I was getting torn apart before. How it works, I'm not entirely certain. I could not tell you. But that Last Stand made the entire bit of difference between a stun warrior winning and me winning. So, that's how I saw it. I went to Spiked Armor. And honestly, when I was comparing it between Defy Pain, I didn't want to have two traits that I could only be activated every 60 or 90 seconds. And not to mention, Endure Pain is nice, but it only lasts for 4 seconds. So I'm having to wait 56 seconds for every 4 seconds when I get low. Not to mention, I'm not low health all the time. And very rarely am I, so Spiked Armor seemed better. Retaliation was great, especially against those Pistol Whip Thieves, or just about anything that's going to do a bunch of crit damage and roll fast, or very Glass Cannon. This does a ton of damage back at them for what they're doing to you. Alright, let's move down to Empower Allies. Once more, I got the question when I gave this to Hay or Brittany, why would I use Empower Allies? That just seems odd when we have all these other traits I could go with, especially the Leg Specialist. It's gotta be a personal favorite of mine. And the reason is, this build had to sacrifice a lot of strength or power and a lot of damage to be able to withstand so much and have so much hit points and so much armor. So, we had to find a way to increase the power. Power to the warriors. So, this was the way we did it. We empowered allies. Now, this does not only increase the power of your allies, it increases the power of you. So, it's you and all the allies around. That means you're helping your team, and you're getting all the power you need. Lung capacity. Considering this build relies on shout heals, much like the tap that mouse ultimate guardian build relies on meditation heals, we needed the shouts to recharge faster, much like the trait for the guardians that recharges their meditations faster. This makes my shouts every 20, 24, and 20 seconds. Each of my shouts will heal for 1.5 thousand hit point, or 1,500 hit points is what I'm trying to say. It will heal for 1,500 hit points every 20, 24, and 20 seconds. And of course, to get those heals, you need shouts heals. Very safe for itself. Let's move over to runes, and I chose heavy coat or rune to the soldier. My bad. Again, asking why. When I first made the build, it was extremely weak to conditions. Even now, if you cannot get all the conditions off, it will still kind of start dying away fairly quickly. In the Montage 2 Episode 1 of the recent story we're releasing, I faced against a Necromancer who did a ton of condition damage. So I had to I kind of screwed up in that fight. I used all my shouts way too early, and I was just not doing it as I should. I really should have been pretty much full health most of that fight. But the shouts removing a condition is needed. I would not go for any other rune. Shouts need to remove those conditions. I went with Sigil of Superior Battle, and I will explain that a little bit later on why, so we're going to go ahead and skip that for now. Sigil of Superior Energy. Reason being is you want to be able to dodge. You want as much survivability as you can get. If you got more survivability and you can dodge whatever attack, like if someone's about to burst you and you dodge it, that burst is wasted. You want to be able to dodge as soon as you can. Sigil of Superior Earth. This kind of talks for itself. Since we have a fairly high crit chance, especially with Fury, we generally go to 59-60% hit chance, or crit chance, my bad. Keep screwing up. And then you got the 60% chance on crit to inflict another bleeding. Yes, bleeding conditions are not the main aspect of this build. I am well aware. However, those bleeds, as I said before, are going to keep down any regeneration they have. It's going to do a bunch of damage, and if you can stack those bleeds really, really fast, like if you use Flurry, and most of those Flurry attacks crit, and you're inflicting those even more bleeds, so instead of 8, you got 15, which I've had multiple times, then you got a lot of bleeds on them, and it's really, really hurting them, even despite you don't really have a lot of condition damage. So, it's just keeping a wave down. I use Sigil of Superior Paralyzation. Honestly, this can be changed for anything. I kept it from when I had my Mace Skullcracker. And having a little bit more on the stun ain't bad. But if I was to change it, I would probably go with Superior Energy or Superior Battle. One or the other. Probably Battle over Energy, personally. I use the Berserker's Amulet. Mainly because you could go with Knight's Amulet, I suppose. You get the same crit and you get a lot more armor. The problem with that is you'd lose a lot of power. We already have very, very little power as it is. We want as much power as we can. And this is being the amulet with the most power. As you can see, I don't have a lot when I'm using my sword. And I'm just shy of 3,000 when I have my axe. This is where all this might I've been talking about is coming in. So, let me give you a slight demonstration. This build is pretty much built for permanent might stacking. You should have 3 to 11 stacks of might at all times. Never should you run out of might. Let me show you on, I'll show you on the medium. Right now I have 11 stacks of might. That leaves me at 3,500 attack. That's a ton of attack. And how long is it going to last, you ask? Well, I have a ton of time on that. And I can restack it when For Great Justice comes back.